what I'm going to be covering today is going to be related to Volt, all the new features in Volt. Um, there are tons of new features. I'm going to cover the main things that you're going to be interested in. And I think you're going to find there's some really cool new features of Volt. I'm going to assume you already know maintenance care. So this is not a maintenance care training. This is just to highlight all the new features of the software. Okay. So let's log in together. And logging in right now. You should be seeing my screen. If you're not seeing my screen, let me know. But I'm logging into maintenance care as we speak. All right. So the first thing that I want to highlight is the new dashboard, mini dashboard on the right side. As you're aware, that's always been there. That's something that we've had available there on the right side is what you can see the quick filters of what's happening in your facility. We've added a quick link to our videos. Now you might be saying, okay, well, this is just self-promotion. Why are you putting videos there? But the goal of these videos are actually educational for your staff. And I really encourage that you go through them, especially the compliance category. Compliance categories are going to have all preventative maintenance that your site could be doing with an explanation. All right, so let's go to the next small little thing that's been added, which is the avatars. So all of your users can now have little avatars added to their profile. And so you can upload images or graphics of their face or aliens or whatever it is that you want. But this will come in play in different aspects throughout the software. So first of all, sometimes instead of usernames, you like to manage by visuals. You'll be able to do that, especially in Kanban. When I show you that new feature, you're going to be able to see that functionality within there. Okay. If you're getting an error message on that video button, remember to refresh your cache. Anything of Volt needs to take effect. Refreshing your cache means clearing all your browser history related to maintenance care. So it's not pointing to the old product in a sense. So if you're having errors with that, somebody asks a question, they're having errors, it's likely a cache issue. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. So you have the avatars. And again, it's a small thing. But when we go to avatars right here, also you have settings. So let's go into the settings. And what you'll notice is there's a whole bunch of new settings, including two-factor authentication. So if you're not seeing what you're seeing on yours, then definitely update your browser cache and you should be able to see all of that stuff. Or make sure you have the right security roles. So what I'm showing you today is a master user, somebody who has access to everything, okay? Now there's also another setting here under more settings and display. These are all the settings that were there before, but I want to show you this extra one, which is called the start page. So the start page now allows you to choose what is the first page you want to see when you first log into maintenance care. So you can actually, all right, so the new visual interface called Kanban is a way to display information in different columns. Okay, so I'm going to show you the first option, which is the status column layout. So this will show you have the regular filter bar at the top like you normally do. And if I go back in time, let's go back to, say, November. You can see all my tasks that are new, pending, reopened, delayed, closed in their individual columns. Now, if I want to move something from one column to the next, I can do that. I can grab this and I can move it over as long as there's no dead set attached. It'll allow me to move it to the next category. I say yes, and now it's been moved. You can see the icons here attached to each of the tasks, excuse me, show the user that it's been assigned to. So that little icon there, these are the users. That's where the visuals can come into play, where you can say, okay, this is this is Bob or this is John or whoever that is working on these tasks. You can click on these and it'll open up the task itself, and you can modify them from here. But it's a good drag and drop and a good way to see how many new, pending, closed, reopen you have. Now, if you want to see it differently, you could change the status view and you use it by user view. Okay, what does that mean? Well, at first it shows you nothing, because with user view, you have to make sure that you select the people that it's assigned to that you want to see. So let's say we want to see, and you can see their little icons. I want to see these users. So I'm going to pick just these users that I know. So it allows you to pick up to 5 users. I'm going to press search. And now based on the users I chose, I can see how many tasks each of them have. And so it's a good way to manage your team just by picking the person of who the task is assigned to, and you could see it by user. So the first one we saw was by task status, and this is by user, which allows you to see that. And again, you can reassign a task just by moving it from one person to the next. It's going to ask you, do you want to reassign it? Yes. And now I've reassigned to Mike. Okay. So that's how that works. A really easy way to navigate and view your information through this Kanban layout. Now, if we switch to the last type of view, which is assets. So if you're managing assets within maintenance care, you get the ability to see all your equipment in these columns that are preset, but that give you a lot of information. So one is the warranty expiration date. So how many equipment do you have that are near warranty expiration? Right now, I only have one, and it's at 58% of its life for the warranty. So I still have 34 years and 8 months. This doesn't make any sense, but the idea is you have this view of all your warranty items, or the life expectancy. You have the oldest. This one only has 347 days remaining for life expectancy compared to the other ones, and so on. Upcoming PMs, costly repairs, and so on. You'll notice there's icons for the assets as well, and all the information that you need on each of those. So it's a really good view if you're managing equipment on a regular basis. You can work through that Kanban setup. Okay. So this is really exciting because we can add other, okay? All right, let's keep going. There's lots here. So with the task, the biggest thing that's changed that everybody's been waiting for is the multi-assign. So how does that work? Well, two changes were made based around the multi-assign. And one is the duration and how we capture duration. And then the second is the ability to assign multiple users. So here's how it works. The function of assigning still works the same. You click on assign button, or you can right click on the task and select assign task, just like you were doing before. So if I select assign, the only difference now is I actually can select more than one person. So I can select this person, and the menu doesn't go away if I don't want it to, and I can click another person. Okay. So that's the only difference. And now I've assigned 2 people, and you can see them here. You can assign up to 8 people per task. So that becomes really flexible for you because maybe this job is shared amongst a couple of people. But maybe you still want to track what George is doing compared to what Adam is doing. So the way you would do that now is you would click on Adam or George would just open up the task and click on their own timer, because all they would see and have the ability to do is click on their own timer. But as a manager, you can add time individually to each of them. So if I click on George, it allows me to add time for George. It took 10 minutes for George to work on this. Press save. Now, what I can see here under duration is it's saved. That filters are still sticky filter, and you shouldn't have to change. So let's look at the email functionality. So the email functionality is something that's always been part of maintenance care, but we did add a function here around the ability to email different parts of the software. So what you used to be able to do is only email your contacts, but now your vendor list can be emailed. Your soon to have tenant list, if that's what you want, will also be able to be selected. And if you have a name and email address associated to a room, you can select it from that list as well. So I have, let's say this person. And so if you do want multiple emails, you can absolutely put another comma and another email there. But what this allows you to do is email a person, right? Sorry, for those who are joining late, I have a bit of a, what if 2 employees work at the same amount of time and I want to see the total amount of downtime? Yeah, the total amount will always show right here in blue. So that's the total amount. All right, let's keep going. So hopefully this is a good pace for everybody, but so far we've covered the avatars and the videos and some settings, some personal settings, right? And then we looked at Kanban view, which there was some great graphical improvements there. Okay. Now I want to talk about something that other people have been asking about, which is different task statuses. So as you know, I don't know if you knew this, but you can edit a task right from the list view right here by clicking in the status field. But you'll notice that, we have some preset task statuses: new, pending, reopen, close, excluded. But if you want to add more statuses that suit your needs, like maybe on order or let's pause this or whatever you want to call it, you can do that. You can add new task statuses. And so those task statuses will appear everywhere, including on the filter and obviously to select the task itself. Now, the way you're going to do this is you're going to go to your admin. You have to be an admin rights user, and you're going to go to the labels subtab right here. So this allows you down here to select a new task status, okay, to create them. Now, keep in mind, every task status that you create needs to be linked to a master task status that we already have. So that means you have a choice there to say on order should behave like pending, or on order should behave like reopened. You decide how that should behave. And so the reason why we need that link is because there's a lot of rules within maintenance care that are set up based on the statuses. Like let's say every time a ticket is closed, a task is closed, I want to notify the. All right, let's keep going because we talked about labels, we talked about statuses. Now let's do the biggest, my most exciting feature for Volt. I think you're going to like it, and it's called rules. So rules is very powerful, and I think everybody's going to use this because it really is a way for you to build automation within your day-to-day process. And the sky's the limit on what you can create here. And I'm going to create stuff with you right now. I'm going to create rules. And so a rule could be anything that you don't want to have to do manually. It's something that you want the system to automatically do whenever something happens. And so right now you might not be able to think of anything, but I'm sure stuff will come up. And I'm just going to name something like trigger health and safety, let's say PM. Okay, that's the name of my rule. So what does this mean? Well, first I'm going to pick my facility. If you only have one, that's what you'll see there. There's different elements that you're going to need to understand, and there's definitions for each of them here. And I don't want to, for those who aren't very comfortable with this type of stuff, I don't want to confuse you, but it's actually quite simple. The first thing you have to figure out is what's going to trigger this rule. What is the element that is going to trigger this rule? Is it going to be a part? Is it going to be a task? Is it going to be an asset, a transaction, or a debt? Let's say it's a task. Keep it simple. Everybody knows tasks. So a task is going to trigger this rule. Now, which part of the task is going to trigger this rule? What field? Let's say the status, or let's say the class. Let's say class. So whenever there's the task class, and then it gives you an operator, which is like a mathematical operator. So is it equal to, not equal to? There might be different options based on the different fields you select, but we're going to say equals, and then it's going to give you your options for task classes, health and safety. Okay, so I'm saying whenever a task, the class is equal to health and safety, what do I want to do? What is the action I want to take? So I want to take, you have all these options. You can trigger a preventative maintenance, you can send an email, you can update the current task, you can create a new task, or you can even add a cost and a transaction to it. But let's say I want to trigger a PM, okay? Because I selected trigger PM, it gave me the options of all my PMs. Now I don't have one set for this, but I'm just going to make it up. Let's say it's this one. So whenever task class equals health and safety, please trigger this PM. So that's what the rule says. Now, what's this scenario? Well, this scenario could be that, you're faced with a spill somewhere and you go, oh my goodness, this is a health and safety issue. So you go into maintenance care and you change the task class to health and safety, press save. As soon as you do that, a different preventative maintenance triggers, which is alerting somebody else to go and take action on these steps because it's a health and safety issue. So that's what you could set up here as an example. You could do this for room changeovers or whatever other ideas you come up with. But this is for preventative maintenance triggering, but there's tons of other options. You can send an email. And if you send an email, the cool thing is that you can actually embed. Let's keep going. So one of the other items here is the profile. This is a small thing, but some of our customers ask for it. If you want to start to gather information about the profile of your building, you can, what year was built, structure type, and so on, you can actually track it. So somebody's asking, can I turn off classic view? So if you don't want your staff to ever go into classic, yes, that is an upgrade to Volt. It is available. Classic view, you do have to let us, can you add more than one tag? No, you can only add one tag, but you can use tasks, classes. So you have two different. So the scheduler function, if you're using the scheduler, which is your preventative maintenance, some of the same features that we've had before that we've added to maintenance care are added here, including the tag. You can add tags to the preventative maintenance. And but we did add a couple of features down here, which is the days to close and the auto close. So I really suggest for those of you who are struggling with preventative maintenance being overwhelming for your team, that you could use this auto close feature. This is not supposed to be something you use on everything, but for those things where you want a constant reminder, but you're like, I don't want it in my system because I never have time to go in there and close it, but it's just too much. Use that auto close feature where it's time to remember this, but you don't want the time to go close it. That's when you would set auto close, so it'll automatically close. And then you would set how many days to close. So this is the due date function. And what it does is if you say, so if you don't check auto close, you could still use this and you could say 5 days to close. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, based on your trigger date, so it's like, let's say the first day of every month. So 5 days to close means 5 days before the first day of every month, this task will trigger and it'll come into your task list under where you see age. You will see that it is minus 5. If I put 5 minus, if I put 5. So it will count down the age. So if you want to see things that are coming up due, you just sort by the age. Is there a due date column with a date format? So there isn't. So the due date functions based on the age. One of the things we wanted to avoid is more date options. There's a lot of dates floating around in maintenance care, right? There's date created, date modified, date completed. So one of the things we try to avoid in this process is the ability. Somebody's saying, how do I set up the side panel on the right? The side panel is automatically set up. You just have to click on this little. So the reports, nothing has changed in the reports. I mean, you know about our upgrades and our Tableau access. So I'm not going to cover the reports too much, but they should be functioning the same way. A lot of our reports are being upgraded to match some of the functions in maintenance care as Volt, including multi-assign. Multi-assign is the biggest change. So that's something that our reports need to accommodate. So they've been working on that. Some of them have already been updated, but you'll need to, some of them will be updating soon. What else? Oh, little things just related. We'll get into assets in a second here, but the Space Center, these are little improvements. Obviously, there's tons of little bugs that we fixed as well, but the little improvements on the Space Center, if you're using the attachment, is that when you upload a document into the Space Center, we convert it into a low res image. The high res image is always kept on the server. You can download the high res version anytime, but when you want to preview it, you just preview a low res because it's quicker. And the quality of that image wasn't very good on a low res. So we've improved the quality of the image, even of the low res image that you want to see. Okay. So that's a big advantage. Now let's take a look at assets. So we've added a mass updater of your equipment for inflation rate. So one of the functions of maintenance care that's quite powerful is if you calculate if you have the purchase cost, you have the purchase date, and you have the inflation rate, it will give you a replacement cost automatically calculated. So if I change this to 3% from the purchase date and the purchase cost, you'll see that the replacement cost changes to what it should be based on a yearly inflation of 3%. But sometimes the inflation rate changes and our customers want to change that across the board. So what you could do is you press the update button, you can pick a new inflation rate and pick by asset class what that inflation rate should be changed to. And when you press update, it will update all of those assets within that asset class, their relative inflation rate. Okay, so all at once. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Now we've also tied in this new tab here called PMs. Let me open up one that is actually usable. Let's see if that one's done. Have to find is days dues added to PM templates or any other improvements in PM template fields. So that's a multi-site questions. So I don't know if it's actually in the PM templates, but it should be. And if it's not, then we can quickly add it. But just because not everybody here is from multi-sites, PM, how do we print barcodes? You do that the same way as you normally do right through our reporting tool. Again, if you're not sure how to do that, you can go to the support team. They will show you how to do that. How do you scan barcodes with your phone? So so as you know, you needed to update the iPhone or Android phone or mobile device, whatever you're using. You needed to update the app to access any new features of Volt. The app didn't look different; it just needed an update, so you had to do that. But we are also working on a new app that looks different and has all these extra features. It's coming out soon. Soon, I'm going to say within a month or two. I've already seen it. It's already kind of going through some testing. But one of the functions of that app is the ability to scan an existing barcode and have it learn. And that's where you're going to do it from. It's from the new app. Just keep an eye out for it when it comes out. All right. Well, that is what I was going to cover today. So some people are asking, are they still working on report part things of Volt? Yes, we're always upgrading our reports. There's full-time staff working on reports. So reach out to our support team. They can work through that. Somebody's asking to go back through Kanban. I will do that right now. And mention connection to point click care. Yes, the connection to point click care is this particular situation. So the connection to point click care is that in the rules you can set up an integration with point click care. You have to tell us first, but what the rule will state is that whenever a task class equals something, which could be a chargeback to point click care for something that you're doing inside of maintenance care. So if you want to track costs in maintenance care, track costs that are in maintenance care into point click care, the rule will say whenever task class equals point click care, send that cost to point click care's interface, and it'll put it into that particular room for that chargeback. That's what that integration is. If you want more information, you can contact their support and they will help you set that up. And let's go through Kanban real quick. I'm going to go through that again. So Kanban, you have three options for Kanban. You have status, user, and assets. And so for status, it shows you the information by status of task, new, pending, reopen, and so on. And you can drag from here as well. So if I collapse my filter here, I can drag from pending to reopen. And as long as you see that little box appear, that means you say, yes, do you want to change the status to reopen? Yes, I've now assigned it to pending. So it's a good way to change statuses. You can click on any of these and open up the task right from the Kanban. So this is the status view. Now, to one of the questions somebody was asking about the date source filter, are due dates going to be on reactive work orders, so non-PMs? So for now, as we're testing out the process and the workflow, it is only on the scheduled task. I could see it one day being on the ad hoc or as we call the reactive work orders. The only difference is it would only be accessible typically by the manager profile and not by the staff being able to set those durations. So that's the due date. So that's kind of the dilemma that we're at right now, because the scheduler is typically only accessible by management. And so that's why we wanted to go with that as a starting point. All right. So if you're, again, I'm going to repeat one thing here. If you're having issues with Volt and you can't see what you're seeing, either clear your browser cache or use a different browser to test it out, because something you've never used maintenance care on before, and that'll help you see that you should see it. Clearing your browser cache means deleting all your browser history related to maintenance care, and it should not delete your passwords. It will only delete just the cookies that have been placed in your browser. Those cookies, sometimes your browser won't look on the internet for maintenance care. It'll use the cookie that's locally stored and think it knows better, and it goes there, and that's why you're seeing a problem. So you got to remove those cookies, and that's done through the history, browsing history deletion. Okay. So if you're having problems with Volt, that's the best. When creating new tasks, can you still pick multiple assignees? Absolutely. Yes, you can. You can pick multiple assignees now. Absolutely. All right, I'll stop the questions here. The rest of the questions maybe come to our support call, and you'll know if you're using Volt if you could see Kanban. There's one good hint, and also if you have the videos here, those videos only show up for Volt. Okay, so that's a good way to know if you're using Volt. All right, have a good day, everyone. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon. We will have another session of this later on next week. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.